Friends, colleagues, fellow citizens, today I want to address a complex and often misunderstood chapter in American history, the alignment of Black Americans with the Democratic Party. The question before us is, given the Republican Party's initial role in the Civil Rights Movement, why did Black voters overwhelmingly shift their allegiance to the Democrats? The answer, as we shall see, is multifaceted and deeply rooted in evolving political realities and shifting priorities. The Republican Party under Abraham Lincoln did indeed lead the charge to abolish slavery. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments stand as testaments to this. As Frederick Douglass famously stated, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. The Republicans, facing that demand, initially responded. However, Reconstruction's failure to fully secure Black civil rights and the rise of Jim Crow laws in the South significantly eroded this initial progress. The shift in Black political allegiance wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual process driven by several key factors. The Southern strategy. Following the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Republican Party, under figures like Richard Nixon, began to court white Southern voters who felt alienated by the civil rights movement. This Southern strategy effectively pitted white conservatives against the interests of Black Americans, driving a wedge between the Republican Party and the Black community. This strategy, while successful in garnering white votes, alienated a significant portion of the Black electorate. Legislative action. While the Republican Party initiated the legislative groundwork for civil rights, the Democratic Party, under Presidents Lyndon B. Johnson and later, became the driving force behind the passage and enforcement of landmark legislation. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, while bipartisan in their initial conception, were ultimately championed and shepherded through Congress by Democrats. This tangible legislative success cemented the Democratic Party's image as the party more actively fighting for Black equality. Economic policies. The Democratic Party's focus on social programs like the Great Society, aimed at alleviating poverty and expanding access to education and health care, resonated deeply with Black communities disproportionately affected by economic hardship. These programs, while imperfect, offered a tangible path towards upward mobility and a sense of government support that was often lacking. Party leadership. The rise of prominent Black leaders within the Democratic Party, such as Martin Luther King Jr. and later figures like Jesse Jackson and Barack Obama, further solidified the party's image as a champion of Black interests. This visible representation fostered a sense of belonging and trust within the Black community. It's crucial to acknowledge that this alignment wasn't without its complexities and disappointments. The Democratic Party has certainly fallen short of its promises at times, and the legacy of systemic racism continues to plague American society. However, the historical context reveals a clear pattern. While the Republican Party initiated the fight for abolition, the Democratic Party, through legislative action, economic policies, and the cultivation of Black leadership, ultimately became the party more closely associated with the pursuit of racial equality in the latter half of the 20th century. Personally, understanding this history fills me with a mixture of hope and frustration. Hope, because it demonstrates the power of collective action and the enduring pursuit of justice. Frustration, because the legacy of racial inequality persists, reminding us that the fight for true equality is far from over. We must learn from the past, acknowledge the complexities of our history, and continue to strive for a future where the promise of equality is realized for all.